Welcome back. How was that break? Yes, I loved it as well. Now, this is the moment where I sit down and listen and grow with you and with my guest in studio, just talking to us about addiction. Now, we all face something out there. We're all battling a particular type of addiction. But my guest here is 15 years sober from alcohol. You know what I mean? So if you're battling with drinking this morning and your family is being stigmatized, or your spouse is being stigmatized, or you are personally have become sober, but the community is having a hard time reintegrating you back into the society. You want to talk to us this morning, and you want to listen to Madam Terry this morning. So please join us, even on our social media platforms, KUTV Kenya. We have a live link down there for you. Madam Terry, I am so honored. I do not know what to say, but I'm so honored to have you in studio this morning. Habari yako? It's good to have you.
I'm happy also to be here in KUTV. And I want to say, viewers, good morning. And I'm happy to be associated with the KU. It's a lovely place. And my name is Madam Terry Wachira, an addiction counselor. I'm also a marriage and family therapist. And I want to talk about addiction and how a person is affected. Because we normally say one person in the family is infected, the whole family is affected by either drugs or alcohol.
I like that, because then it is me who is going through this, but people around me are also affected.
They become very sick.
They become very sick.
Very sick. In fact, more sick than you.
All
because
right.
They wonder what happened to you. Because you start also stealing. And before that, you start lying. Even you can lie that you are in college, but you are not in college. 3/4 you are using. Even during the day, you go to college, you disappear.
We're going to get deeper into this, but a lot of people are watching this morning and they're saying, you said she's 15 years sober. She also looks like, she's full of wisdom. So they want to hear your story.
Thank you.
I know it's going to be a summary of it, but what is your story as Madam Terry? How did you get into this and how did you come out of it?
Yeah, that is a good beginning. I got married young with my husband, Wachira. And after some time, you know how people struggle when you are just fresh from college. And after you got 2 kids or so, our life started changing. I was a secretary at that time. He was a supervisor in a certain company. And every Sunday, after going to church, we would go to some place to take the lunch. And that is how it started, because he was taking just 1 or 2 beers. And eventually, as we go on, we went on. There is a time I used to see this place, whatever he is taking, it makes him a bit happy, and there is some joy. So I got curious. I said, now, this next time, I'll put a few drops in my soda, and that is how I started it.
Just a few drops of soda?
Yeah, but you see,
of the beer in your soda.
In my soda. But eventually, it came a point when I felt I should not take a soda. So ilikuwa bili kama kawaida, and our life started like that. And eventually my drinking went a notch higher. Every Friday we would go out and socialize, and then we started putting alcohol and wine in our homes.
Okay, now it actually became part of the home.
Part of the home.
Okay.
And apparently most of our friends were like, so if you visit me, I would ask you, would you like some tea or some wine? And it was like the normal that time. Normal means it was not a big deal. Furthermore, we are not drinking daily. We are working, and we are hard working. So eventually my drinking went a notch higher, and we would, I would go out on Saturday after buying food for the family. Remember, I'm working. And we would team up with a few friends and then go where we used to, even our husbands used to take us there. We used to call it drive-in. You drive in at that place, and then they serve you in the car. So that started it, and eventually it went from bad to worse, because apparently I was drinking more. Even if I don't go there, I would drink in the house. Okay. And it came to a point where we would even go out on Fridays, especially Fridays. We used to go out often with him, and then we would drink until 2 a.m. I'm saying this so that a person will see where the addiction starts. It may start this way or it may start differently, but it's all, addiction is a disease.
Yeah.
It catches up with us, and we reached a point where we would come home and then fight.
So you go out drinking together.
Yeah, very nicely, and dancing.
And come back home and fight.
And fight, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. He would say something like, I saw someone looking at you very keenly, and what was he talking to you when I went to the loo? You know, a lot of sometimes small issues, but they destroy homes.
Because you're drunk.
I'm drunk and I'm high, and I'm also asking him now how many girls are looking at you, you yourself. So you see, if we were not high, we would not even argue on those issues. But eventually, there is a time we did, he really beat me up actually, because he told me not to drink out, but to drink in the house.
So violence came in again.
Violence came in, and domestic violence can be triggered by drinks and drugs. So eventually, there is a time we really fought, and he beat me up so much that I decided one day I'm going to leave. And we had now 4 daughters. And I packed one day. I came home during the working days. I used to drive my children to school and pick them in the evening.
Yes.
But eventually he employed a driver, so in the evening the driver used to pick them up. But this time I packed, I came, I went to work, and then I came, packed, then I went.
Yes.
So I went away from the family, and I never came back until after 15 years.
Okay.
But I went from bad to worse, because that time I went on with the work, and then at some point, the company that I used to work for downsized, and then I was one of the people who were only 4 years in that company. They started with 5 years and under. All that money I drank, it finished. Then I sold the car that I had. It finished. I was drinking from morning to evening now. I was saying I'm giving myself a holiday.
So you gave all your finances to the drinking. It robbed you of your financial
now I'm
power
an addict,
as well.
not even the time I was going to work. Now it is from morning to evening.
Okay.
That money finished because I was just minusing from the bank, withdrawing. And I sold my car at a throwaway price. I remember even the price now, it was a throwaway even at that time. I drank it all. By this time, I had gotten another child, a 50-born child, a boy. And by this time, when I was being detrenched, the boy was about 2 years and a half or so. So eventually, after selling everything and selling the car, selling even the household items, my life became a mess, because I used to go around to my friends to Oba, handouts.
So now...
And my daughter, my sister who was married in Karatina, they saw that my life was a downturn, and then they took my son. They adopted my son. So I went from grace to grass, and eventually I ended up in a slum, begging and for handouts. By this time, I'm not remembering those children with my husband. I'm not visiting them because of shame and stigma. I couldn't give them anything. I was very dirty. I was unkept. I went from grace to grass. I was very thin. Every morning, natoa lock. Kutoa lock is...
Drink more?
We feel like here is burning until we get something.
Wait, at that point in the morning, who are ready to wanatoa lock now and watch the show, they probably they feel attacked.
Yes, okay. I did that. And that time now, I'm not taking Tasker. That is the other generation. The sachet, the PMAD,
So there's a way you also graduate.
I graduated now. You accelerate. The addiction goes from this level to upwards.
All right. Even in the content that you take.
Even in the content that you take. I stopped now taking lager. I started taking spirits.
All right.
That is where the spirits now hit you very hard. And when you get high, that is the happiness.
How then did you start your healing journey?
Now, when I went down level, my brother in Mombasa, Kube, has also become an addict. He was working in Baburi. He had a family. He has loved the family. And now he came to Nairobi. And one day we met with him in my big brother's home, the office. He was like a shokora, and I was also a shokora. Meaning, an unkept person, jobless, dirty, very thin. And my brother got depressed twice. And eventually this big brother of ours, the one who took us to school, died of heart attack. And we reverted to the wife for handouts. And my brother, he was called Charles. He fell into depression. January 2006, he bought rat poison and a rope. And that is how he died.
So people can go to the extremes of getting suicidal.
Because you have reached the end. You have reached the end. You yourself, when you reflect when you are sober, you remember how far down you have been. Nobody wants to see you.
Stigmatized.
Nobody wants to talk to you because you have cheated everybody in the city, like myself. I would come to you and give you a long story. Then I would just want 500 shillings or 100 or even 50. Then I would disappear back to my slum and drink. So that my brother, he turned my life around, because after he wrote a suicide note that he's tired of living. He doesn't want to be buried in Othaya, Nyeri. He wanted to be buried in Malangata, and that's what we did. My sister now, my big brother's wife, was the one now that's in charge of us. And she is the one who organized all that, and we buried him. And at his burial in Langata, catechist from Holy Family said, if you see a case like this one now pointing at the coffin, another one in the family might follow. And that was my turning point. My sister registered that, my sister-in-law, and that is how she took me to a rehab.
All right.
And that is a very, very special place for me, because my brother's death gave me life. And after I went to the rehab, because I was ready. In fact, I had reached the end. I was also suicidal. Before my brother died, I was already suicidal. I felt I have reached the end. I even felt, why don't I buy rat poison I put in a hard bag, and then I koroga one day in Kunywe. So God came in his own way. My brother died, and unfortunately, he could have been saved. If maybe he went to a rehab like me, I'm saying this is true because I lost him, and he was very, very close to me. And now, when I went to the rehab, I realized really that is where I really belonged. I needed that. We are counseled, we are given love.
Yes.
We are shown how addiction is a disease, and how I started. There are 5 stages in addiction, which I'll come back to after I finish my story just in 1 minute.
One thing that I have picked there, which is very powerful, is addiction is a disease.
Yeah, and
I
it's
don't
a
think
mental
most people look at it that way.
It's a mental.
It's a mental disease. All right.
All the drugs affect the brain. So all the mood-altering drugs affect the brain and the behavior and the makeup. So we become liars, manipulators, thieves, robbers. We don't wash. We don't take food.
Yeah. But I want to talk about now that your story, that is a very deep story, and we're glad that you're here today celebrating. We're celebrating with you these 15 years. Yes. And now, when you started coming back into the society from your rehab, how was the society interacting with you? Were they able to reintegrate you peacefully? Did you suffer a certain kind of stigma?
Yeah. In fact, after I went to the rehab 3 months, I decided I would come back to my family. My husband had remarried, but he didn't bring the wife in this home where we had bought. My children were there, and that is how I came back. Okay. And we are encouraging this program to make amends, to ask for forgiveness. Because we normally say one person in the family is infected, the whole family is affected. And that's how I learned that my children really, they suffered. Okay. When I went to make amends with them, they told me how I used to beat them. I couldn't remember. Okay. There's something we call memory lapses. And this is where now, when I'm drunk, there are things I can tell you and I can do to you, and then the following day I won't remember. So now I apologize even to my husband, and now I continued living. But before I left the rehab, there was a counselor who inspired me, who was a lady. Yeah. I told her, she's still my friend even now. I told her I would like to be a counselor like you. She told me to talk to the director, and I took his number. The director encouraged me to continue calling him. Okay. So my sister-in-law came and picked me up, and I went home. And from that time, making a mess of my children was not easy. You are saying about the society. Yeah. Fortunately, I'm saying fortunately because I was not in that society where I live. I was living in Kangemi. Okay. So now, when I came back, most of them, they thought I'm out of the country. All right. So they never saw me. They never saw my behavior. But normally, the society, they don't hate you. They actually hate what you do. They hate what you do. They hate what you did. All right. You did to them. We don't hate. So I love the person who's dealing with this drug addiction to understand, number one, don't put it in your head that society hates you. All right. It's the addiction that we're dealing with. Yeah. Now, these rehab centers, I know somebody's saying, okay, it is really good that it worked for you. But where are these rehab centers? And then we're going to talk about, of course, the healing process. But where are these rehab? Are they stationed? Are they expensive? They are expensive. But we normally say you can't buy life. You can't buy life. You must make a sacrifice. Okay. It's like the schools. The schools, you have a choice, isn't it? Yes. This is expensive. This is my class. And then, you take your kid. Because even the rehabs, they go by standards. Okay. They are very high, some of them. In Guinea medium, Igine law, Igine, like, the lowest, I think, the one I know, there's some 30,000 a month.
Okay.
And also, it matters what they offer. It matters what they offer. But I'm not saying the highest they do not offer. They offer things, like schools, really.
All right.
Because you have a choice. But normally, what I know is that the rehabs, they encourage you to stay sober. They encourage you that this disease of addiction does not heal. That is something we should remember.
All right.
It does not go away.
It does not
I'm
go
still
away.
an addict myself, even now, in recovery. I should remember this.
All right.
That if I take just a thought of anything, or even wine, I will reawaken the cravings.
Just hold it there, where you can reawaken the cravings. I want to talk about the triggers.
Yes.
You've started by saying that thought.
Yeah.
What else can trigger you? COVID-19 is here. People are depressed.
Yeah.
It's hard to not get into the drugs.
But it's very easy for me.
Yes.
Because I know my mind is set.
Yeah.
That it's not about them who are drinking, it's about me. The triggers are parties, bashes. The triggers are going to places where I used to go, drinking places. In fact, we call it PPT.
Okay.
People, places, and things.
Okay.
People who are using are no longer my friends. Places where I used to visit are no-go zone for me. Things that can trigger me, like parties. If you call me, Doris, to a party, I'll ask, are you having any wine there or any drink? That one I can decline. Because it's not about you, it's about me.
Nice.
It's about protecting. In fact, I call my sobriety, I hold it like an egg.
All right.
I can't play around with when I'm holding an egg. So I don't just go places.
So
I have to be very careful, even with the people that I associate with.
You said it's PPT.
PPT, people, places, and things.
So if you're trying to recover from this disease we're calling addiction, remember what she has said, PPT. Write it down, and please, that will help in your recovery journey. You're a counselor.
I am.
And here, I'm always very concerned about the gender.
Yes.
So I'm trying to figure out, is it the men or women who come to you more for help? Who approaches you more for help?
They are men. In
Men?
fact, men are more into drugs and alcohol more than women.
Oh, they are?
Yeah.
Yes.
And even in rehabs, because I am also a counselor in rehabs.
Okay.
I have been a counselor, even resident counselor in rehabs. And different rehabs I've worked there. And that's my line, actually. Because even as much as I do awareness, I do give talks in churches, public forums, because for me it's now a passion. I know that God gave me my sobriety for a reason, and I'm also a saved person. I turned my life around 360 degrees, and I told God, walk with me. I lost my brother, whom even now I pain, because we really loved each other. But what I know, through my brother's death, I have touched many people's lives by telling them, it's not about people, it's about me. Starting to love myself, starting to love this body. I can never put anything in my mouth which can poison me, and that is alcohol and drugs.
So that means the men who come out, you encourage them to love themselves.
To love themselves,
because
and to realize whatever has a beginning has an end.
Yeah.
You started even smoking. Smoking is one of those in the categories of drugs.
Yes.
Mira, bangi, kuber, tobacco. It's
All
about
those.
you realizing those days when you are born. Were you given any bangi by your mom? Those days when you are in school, when you are innocent, how come you never took any bangi? How come you never took any alcohol?
Terry, have you heard that there's a group of course, all the respect to the Rasta team, the family that's watching, they want it legalized, something that helps them connect to their maker. That is a laugh. I do not know why she's laughing, but I'm waiting to see how that goes on.
Let's wait for it to go on.
Yeah.
Because for me, I know any drug, any mood-altering drug changes your makeup, mind, and thinking.
Okay.
And you'll never be the same. When you are high, you are not the same as I am. I am sober now. I've taken tea.
Oh, yes.
But now,
I haven't.
someone taking something mood-altering, you'll not be in the same wavelength. There is no way.
So very, very important. Now, I want us to close this, but before we do, someone is saying, okay, fine, I'm very tempted because I'm going through a very hard time. The pandemic, my relationship, everything is not working.
Yeah.
How then do I prevent myself from not even starting? Because you started with a few drops of it in your soda. Then, how do you prevent this?
You prevent it by realizing that the danger is not on that drink, it is on you. You are the only one who can dictate the kind of life you want to lead. You are the only one who can get out of it because you are the one who started it, even if it's smoking. I've heard people say it's very difficult to stop smoking. The way you stopped, the way you started, make an effort. It will not kill you. 100%, it will not kill you. That is number one. Secondly, associate yourself with people who are sober. Okay. And that is how I've been living a sober life. The other thing that has made me sober is going to the rehabs and talking about drug addiction, going to churches, going to public forums, telling people you are not condemned by anybody. Nobody hates you. They hated what you do. Start now changing.
Your mindset.
Ask them for help. Because there are people who are addicted, they cannot do it by themselves.
Okay.
There are people who take rehabs by force.
Yes.
Because you see, the mind is already not normal. And that is why the psychiatry has to work on that person. Okay. And every rehab, we have a psychiatry nurse and a psychiatry doctor. Okay. Because these people cannot manage without being given some medication to subside the cravings. Okay. Otherwise they run away or they'll go crazy. Some of them are shaking like this and they can't hold.
Yeah, we've seen that.
Even like this.
Yes, yes.
So that is very dangerous because even the liver is affected. Most of them, when you see that stage, is a very critical stage. You've
mentioned the stage, and I wanted to really talk about quickly the stages of addiction. Of course, you've talked about what you have done in your journey, like churches and being with sober people. To stay sober. Yeah, that's a good thing with the journey. Yeah. But now, what are the stages of addiction? Because somebody's watching and they're thinking, wait. Yeah. I'm actually at stage 3, or they don't even know that in stage 1. Yes. So what are these stages of addiction?
The stages of addiction are in fact, the very first one is pre-contact.
Pre-contact.
Pre-contact is the time I come to your house, you give me some wine, and maybe I'm fresh from school, I've never tasted wine. You put just a bit, just put a bit in your soda. And that is, the first stage, the contact stage. Then we have the social use. Okay. The social use is when a social person does not plan to drink, no. A social person just go to a club sometimes to meet a friend, a business friend, and then maybe ask for even a tot or even one beer. And a social person will not stay there until the club closes. Okay. And you find that when the business is over, and in between he may even decide to take just a juice. And eventually it comes to heavy use. All right. Heavy use starts from social to go to heavy use, meaning now even the wife, I'm sure 100%, the wife will notice the difference if the husband starts drinking more.
And the husband would note the difference if the wife starts to drink more.
If the wife is also taking more. Because that time you stay even longer, and then you are late in the home. And then, of course, the more money is going away from the domestic duties.
Oh, that's the heavy stage now.
The heavy stage. Okay. And then we go now to problem stage.
All right.
Problem stage is where a man will tell the wife, ring my boss and tell him I'm sick. And he came at 5 a.m. because he was in the club and he has got a hangover, killing hangover. King size, we call it king size. Red eyes. King size hangover.
All right, that's okay. All right, I had a light moment there because I know there's someone that Kenyans like to say has a lot of king size hangover. Somebody very prominent.
Now, problem stage, that is where now we come in. This is the time now we need people to go to the rehab. There are people who are in the university who are dropouts. In the rehab, there are many university students, let me tell you the truth. There are many high school sana, there are not many. But after Form 4, and they are the tertiary colleges, the dropouts are many. Yeah. But most of the rehabs, the men are always the biggest number. No, they are the biggest number.
That is a concern.
But then, of course, even the ratio. But women also, we hide a lot.
They hide? So they could be dealing with it, but they're hiding. Because of stigma, maybe?
Most of the women. Yeah. There is a lady I'm counseling now who we had to, is it to kidnap her, to take by force, to take it, not kidnap.
You coerce
to take it by force. She's now in the rehab. She really quarreled the whole day. That she was not drunk, she was never drinking, and her daughter is the one who told us, do it because my mom will die in the house. She buys and drinks in the house. So women, we drink in the house, we hide a lot until it explodes.
To the problem stage.
To the problem stage, because now she's thin, she's unkept, she doesn't take a shower. And I do remember that I was not taking a shower forever. Yeah. I used to have a corner there with a curtain where I would take those clothes there, I would dump them there, and then get them again and wear. Recycling, sema recycling.
Oh, recycling. Nimeisema. And all those women who are watching today and they're dealing with this, please, we need to reach Terry. But before Terry gives us her number, because I'm sure the people who want to reach you, especially women, now that you've talked about it, and of course your social handles, let's talk about this last parting shot. What would you like to say to the viewer? You can use that camera just from Terry to you, and then we can come back and give them your personal number.
I want to tell the parents and everybody who is watching me that the disease of addiction is a disease, and it affects the mental status of a person. Addiction in the family, we normally say one person in the family is infected, the whole family is affected, because how did I affect my family? All my children became sick because of me. My husband the same. And even my other relatives. And the other thing is, there are telltale signs of your daughter and your son who are using. Make friends to your be friendly to your daughter, to your son, because if you are friendly, you'll know the type of friends he is visiting, or they are visiting in that home, and he'll not. When he starts using, you'll tell, because you see the kids, and even the adults. So long as you have children in your house, they are your kids. They start hiding and they come late. They don't even sit at the table with you when you are eating. And those are, don't forget it. He pretend that he's studying, but he's smoking in his own room. Please be friendly to them, and even be friendly in a way that you can enter that room. There are many kids I know that have committed suicide even in their own homes, because they drink and they drug, and then you have never idea. You think he's studying, and it becomes curly. It becomes very, very defensive. The other thing is that it's a family disease. Please remember, you may be an enabler. Because he is your favorite son, anytime he threatens to do something, you give him money, and he goes and drink, and please remember to seek for help. Anything that you do not understand, don't take it lightly. Because we don't want you to cry after the kid has done something which you could have prevented. I know very well that it's difficult anyway when the kid are grown up, but be friendly. Try also to go to his room and see what kind of life he is leading. If he is dirty, how come he has changed from being clean to dirty? Those are the telltale signs that even, you can tell. And he is hiding. He sat very far from you. How come? Because he has smoked something, and then he doesn't want you to smell.
But so Terry,
that is what I want to encourage you, and it is encouraging to know that there is hope. You cannot buy life from the supermarket. Remember, rehabs may be expensive, but remember, whatever is cheap is not good. Do yourself a favor. If your husband is drinking, call me. If your child is using and you have no idea, ask me. I'll tell you what we are going to do.
Can you give them the numbers they can call you through?
Yes, I'll give you my number.
Yes.
But first I want to give you this. The social drinker, the problem drinker, and the drink. I drank for happiness and I became unhappy. I drank for joy and became miserable. I drank for sociability, I became argumentative. I drank for sophistication, I became obnoxious. I drank for friendship and made enemies. I drank for relaxation and got the shakes. I drank for strength and felt weak. I drank for courage, I became afraid. I drank to make conversation easier and slurred my speech. I drank to feel heavenly and ended up feeling like hell. I drank for confidence, I became doubtful. I drank to sleep and woke up tired. I am alcohol. I'm the greatest criminal in history. I've killed more men than have fallen in the wars of the world. I've turned men into brutes. I've made millions of homes miserable. I've transformed many promising youth into hopeless parasites. I destroy the weak and weaken the strong. I make the wise men fools and trample fools for disaster. The abandoned wives know me well. The hungry children know me well. I have worried millions and shall continue to ruin millions more. I am strong. I'm alcohol. Avoid alcohol. Avoid drugs. That is my parting shot, and may God bless you. And I'll give you my number. Please call me to help each other. 0706 299 454. I'll repeat. 0706 299 454. Madam Tere Washira. And God bless you.
Thank you so, so much. I don't think I have much more to say. I just want to say thank you so much for coming and for creating such a beautiful conversation to help not just me, but everyone else who's watching this morning. Please come again.
Thank you. I'm coming back.
Yes, I'll wait for you. Now we we are waiting for another guest who's coming in just but a beat. She's an amazing vocalist. She's a singer, and that is how I usually, end the show. So if you want to watch this show end in a beautiful blossom way, that is what to do. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Good morning.